Welcome to the Modern Manifestation Podcast. I'm your host, Bree Brown, a business mindset coach, entrepreneur, and a top competitor in a male-dominated industry. I'm a native Texan, the youngest of all brothers, and a lettuce-hating, wine-loving, curses like a sailor, recovering perfectionist. I've spent over a decade building my commission-based career, and my life's purpose is helping other women achieve the same multi-six-figure success I achieved before I was 25. I have a passion for helping women with mindset, money, and manifestation skills to help every young woman realize her full potential. If you're looking for vulnerable conversations, professional development, inspiration, or even a kick in the ass to get you motivated, you have come to the right place. Thanks for checking out the Modern Manifestation Podcast. Now let's jump right in to today's topic. Hello, my beautiful friends, and welcome back to the Modern Manifestation Podcast. Today, we are jumping into the 10th of the universal laws, the law of rhythm. And I know I said this at the beginning of each of these episodes, so I appreciate your patience with me if you've been tuning in. But if this is your first episode in this series of the universal laws, I highly recommend that you go back to episode number 59. That is where I start with the law of divine oneness. That way you can learn how all of these laws build upon one another. Okay, let's jump right in. The law of rhythm states that everything is cyclical, and change is always around the corner. In other words, this law is the process of moving in and out of various phases in our lives and experiencing seasons of change. So you can think about this law representing the effortless flow of things or the cyclical nature of life around us. As one of the most visible laws, we see proof of this law's existence everywhere we look, from the rhythm of our own breathing circulating in and out, seasons changing, world economies peaking and collapsing, a woman's monthly cycle, the moon cycle, waves crashing in and out. Our world is in a constant state of movement, ebbing and flowing through these various states. So because of this law, our world is along for the ride in a dance of life, fading in and out of these seasons of change. So let's talk about how this cyclical law can benefit you. The law of rhythm encourages us to see the beauty in every phase of our life, even the ones that don't feel so great. In other words, it encourages you to have a half glass full perspective, even when shit sucks, because things will always sway back the way you want them eventually. You will always return to a positive phase of life. And similar to the law of relativity, this law encourages us to weather any challenges thrown our way, because something better is always around the corner. So you can think of this law like your nurturing grandmother, always there laughing with you through the good times and there to comfort you through the bad. So if the law of relativity in our last episode represents the need to be challenged, then the law of rhythm is the timing of when these challenges phase in and out of our lives. And I'm sure most of us would love to relish in the good parts of life indefinitely, right? We would all love that. And because we can't, this law can be misinterpreted as a reason to be pessimistic. So if you're anything like I was, you might hear this definition of like this cyclical nature going in and out of these different phases of life, some good, some bad. And then you might think, if something negative is always around the corner in the next cycle, then why bother trying? Why manifest anything for ourselves? It's just going to go to shit again anyway. Actually, I think my exact phrase when I heard about this law was like, well, then get me off this damn hamster wheel as soon as I'm in a good spot. Because like, I don't want to keep cycling. I'm good right here. And I'll tell you what my mom always said to me growing up. Tough shit, babe. But in all seriousness, this law doesn't guarantee that bad things will always happen, right? I mean, yes, sometimes that can be the case. Sometimes we need to go through those experiences. We have to have the balance. We have to have the challenges, the growth that comes from them. But the law of rhythm doesn't guarantee that bad things are always going to happen. It's just guaranteeing change. And change can be good depending on the meaning we give it. So for example, utilizing the law of rhythm, you could be moving into a new phase of life where you're focusing less on your career and maybe more on family, or more on relationships. Or you could also be ending a cycle of hustling and into a cycle of rest. Allowing ourselves to cycle through various emotions, actions, thoughts, priorities, even relationships, this can help us stay balanced and healthy. And in fact, ignoring this law can actually cause burnout if you're trying to force yourself to stay in productivity mode when your body and your spirit and your mind are asking for a rest. So when we ignore this law, this is when things feel out of alignment. This is when we can't seem to figure out why we're not motivated. And I'm going to tell you something that I wish I knew in my 20s. Even motivation is cyclical, and that's okay. And even if you are the most type A perfectionist out there, you will still cycle through phases of needing rest and phases of recharge. And you don't always have to be going. Life demands balance for us to be fully happy, for us to be content. So the law of rhythm demands change, and even the best manifester in the world will at some point experience a full cycle of the good, the bad, and the different. And I think it's really important to mention that having a negative experience doesn't always mean that you're attracting bad things to yourself. These are not mutually exclusive. We can manifest a challenging experience that's here to help us get to things we really want. So there will be times when you can be doing everything right, and you will manifest quote-unquote bad things because it's required in order to get you to that place where you can get the things you want. It doesn't have anything to do with you doing something wrong. It could just be the process that is required to get to the other side. The law of rhythm says that we will all cycle through these times of good and bad. I just came out of a down cycle myself. These don't say anything about our worth or our ability to manifest the things we want. And if you want to improve in this life, which I'm assuming you do if you listen to my podcast, then you will experience these turbulent cycles. You're going to have highs and lows for the rest of your life. But it's all about balance. It's all about giving you enough of everything, having the full human experience. And like I talked about in the last episode, sometimes that means going through some shit in order to level up. And that's not always pretty. For every single thing I cherish today, I can trace it back to one of the worst moments in my life. And I bet you can do the same if you allow yourself to see the silver linings in your past traumas. So this is the law of rhythm showing up. For all the bad, there has to be good. There has to be change. There has to be different. And just like seasons, sometimes a rough winter is just preparing the foundation for a really beautiful spring. All phases bring new growth. Change is unavoidable in life, so there isn't any point in resisting or fearing it. And it can be good or bad depending on the meaning that we choose to apply to it, right? Because what is good or bad to the universe? The universe is completely neutral. It has no feelings or sentiments of good or bad. We as humans define the meaning of bad and good. And what's good for one person might be bad for another. Instead, the universe just is. And change just is. So this law encourages us to just accept what is. So you can determine whether or not you're in flow with this law by asking yourself questions like, do I victimize myself when things don't go my way? Do I blame myself when things don't turn out right? Do I accept obstacles knowing that they're only temporary? Can I view my shitty circumstances with more appreciation, knowing that good experiences are on their way? Knowing the answers to these questions can lead to a small change in perspective and a huge change in your emotional regulation. So I guess what I'm saying is, put your rose-colored glasses on, babe, because life is prettier this way. And it's okay to view things with glass half full perspective. Good things are always on their way back to us. So no matter what we do, there will be seasons of growth, cycles of challenge followed by contentment, sadness followed by happiness, loss followed by gain. We came here to have a full human experience. And the law of rhythm allows us to experience the spectrum of it all, only giving us doses that we can tolerate as it flows in and out of these opposites. So instead of getting down when you're experiencing a rough patch, Have comfort knowing that it's always temporary. It's like the saying goes, this too shall pass. This is the law of rhythm. Things always returning to being great again, no matter how awful you might feel in any particular moment. Enjoy the moments of bliss while they're here, and look forward to returning to happiness when you're feeling down. This knowledge can empower you to keep moving forward when you're feeling defeated. So appreciate the highs while they last and don't take a single day for granted. Live in the moment. The law of rhythm allows us to accept all phases of life with a new perspective, to be more understanding and more compassionate to ourselves during these ups and downs of life. Because they're all inevitable, but so is future happiness. Our universe is energy, and it flows, shifts, transforms, and vibes to its own flow, its own rhythm, bringing change with each new season. So strap in and go with the flow, because you're going to cycle anyway. So you might as well do it with a more positive and accepting mindset. Have a fantastic rest of your week, and I will catch y'all next Monday. Until then, go out there and manifest some miracles. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with me today. If you enjoyed this podcast, hit subscribe so you can stay up to date with new episodes. As always, we would love it if you would share this episode with friends and family who could use the inspiration. As a new podcast show, we would really appreciate your honest feedback so I know what you like and what you could use more of. As a thank you for leaving us a rating, we will send you our 7 weekly tips to create space for abundance. Make sure you screenshot your review and email it to us at hello@themodernmanifestation.com so we can send them straight to your inbox. If you'd like to stay connected, you can find us on Instagram or Facebook at Modern Manifestation, or you can head to our website at themodernmanifestation.com. Thanks again for joining me, and I will catch y'all in the next episode.